Kempire is brought to you by...
Have you rated the Kempire podcast? Kempire podcast is available on Google and Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, all the places. But rating is very important for a podcast. As you know, we've been building the Kempire podcast in the last couple of years, and so many of you have rated it on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, but we're still trying to reach our goal. We're crawling to 500 on both Spotify and on Apple. Shout out to those of you that have given us glowing reviews and 5-star reviews. We appreciate it, but we're still not at our goal. And I know you guys are listening because the numbers are numbering. So be sure to subscribe, rate, review the Kempire podcast on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. And more information on our sponsors will be available in the description.
You're listening to Kempire here on the Kempire Radio Network.
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Kempire channel, your number one source for pop culture news and music, entertainment, reality TV, and so much more. As always, don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe. It is a subscribers only live chat. Be sure to let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. As you can see, I'm not in the Kempire studio, but we are still here to give you your pop culture news and your reality TV recaps. If you missed it, we were live yesterday recapping the latest episodes of Real Housewives of New York City and the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So if you missed that, be sure to check that out. And don't forget, you can hear a audio version of our live recaps on the Kempire podcast. You can also hear the special episode recap that we did in regards to the fall of Diddy, the Max documentary that was released on Sean Diddy Combs. You can exclusively hear the audio recap of that on the Kempire podcast. So subscribe today. I will be releasing the visual version at some point in the next couple of days. All right. Shout out to everyone already in the live chat. Good evening, good night, good morning, depending on where you're watching from. And of course, shout out to our replay crew as well. Look, the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City had an amazing season 5. We did not expect it. I am the first to say I thought it was downhill from here. I did not believe that the ladies could bring it, but they proved me wrong, and I can appreciate that. And if you missed it yesterday, Andy, you were wrong, though, about Real Housewives of New York's reunion. And I think you might have been wrong about Real Housewives of Salt Lake City's reunion. Although they brought us an epic season 5, the reunion felt a little flat for me. The part 3, the final part of the reunion, was definitely better. And maybe because we were finally kind of wrapping things up. I still would give the season, though, a solid 8.5, maybe. No, I'm going to give it a 9. I can't give it a 10 because the reunion fell flat for me in part 1 and part 2. But part 3, I was a little bit more invested in, a little bit more interested in, although I'm still not understanding the beef between Whitney and Lisa. Maybe there's a lot of things that they're not saying. Maybe. I appreciate all of the little ad libs and under her breath conversations that Mary Cosby was having. Britney, although I said Britney should have gotten a snowflake, she should have gotten a snowflake for this season. But honestly, after her thirst bucket ways on this reunion, on social media, backstage, she's like, I should be out there for that. I'm sort of like, yeah, you are only here for fame, and you're choosing fame and men over your children. Just saying. Arjun says, in my opinion, the reunion was boring. I think we all can agree with that. I do feel like the reunion fell flat. Although it wasn't a terrible reunion, it did fall flat. I think we had such a great time watching and recapping this season that we expected a lot from the reunion, but it wasn't that great. Britney really turned me off. And I would have been the first to say, I like Britney. Britney deserved a full-time snowflake. But after her thirsty ways, I was just like, Britney can go, not really interested. And I was rooting for Britney. I was telling you guys, I feel like Britney should be full-time. She should have gotten full-time. And honestly, based off of how much conversation was around her storyline, she should have. But I love the fact that during the reunion that they called her out for lying. She was like, well, I was only estranged with one of my daughters. And they show her audition tape. And she's like, I'm estranged. Because she, during an audition tape, you have to sell the drama. She knows what the drama that they want. So she was saying that both her daughters weren't speaking to her. What is the truth? I have no idea. I have no idea. Apparently her daughters were, or one of her daughters was with her in New York during the reunion taping. She's so thirsty, and her theatrics on social media, I'm sort of turned off by her. Like, I get it. A lot of people are coming on Real Housewives are thirst buckets at this particular point. They're all fans, and I'm okay with that. But she just became so much on social media that I was just like, okay, girl, we're good. Like, what are you going to offer us next season? More of you and Jared Osmond's issues? No, I don't. I'm not that interested in regards to that. Soft Swift, thank you so much for becoming a member of the channel. Guys, don't forget you can become a member of the channel. Head on over to teamkempire.com/join. Shout out to our King Scars in the live chat and, of course, our channel members and our subscribers. What? Tika says, Kempire, you still out of town thugging with your rounds? What's that mean? Tish says, so is Jared still with her? Based off of this reunion, I didn't know. I didn't understand. And my thing is, I'm jumping around. Based off how Jared spoke to Bronwyn and how he was ready to just throw Britney under the table, I'm like, he seems like a damn. You finished he seems like such a creep. Sidebar. And again, some of the things I might be mentioning might only be available on the Peacock version. There were little instances like, wait a second, I don't think that was in the Bravo version. But apparently Whitney's father, Whitney's father used to do hair. I don't know what Whitney's father is doing right now, but he used to do Donnie and Marie Osmond's hair. He used to be a part of their entourage, their glam squad. I thought that was interesting. Anyone else? I thought that was very interesting. Okay. Wendy says, I thought Britney said that she was done, but then she said she loved him. I don't know. Part of me thinks that, yes, Britney probably has an on-again, off-again relationship with Jared, but I also think that she thinks this makes her interesting and that this might secure her another season on Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. I don't know what storyline, because she's going to speak with production and they're going to ask her, so what's going on with you today? Or what's going on with you this season? What will be your storyline? And I feel like she's going to make something up and it's probably going to be surrounded around Jared. But at this particular point, I don't care. And I've been rooting for Britney this season. Not really rooting, but I said she deserved a snowflake based off of what she offered. But at this particular point, I'm good. All right. Lucky Pie says, Kemp has me watching it on Peacock. Evening, Kempire. Evening, Lucky Pie. Because I end up watching the Bravo version sometimes before I watch the Peacock version. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is different. The Peacock version is 48 minutes without commercials. So clearly it was a longer version on Bravo too, but there's still some stuff that they put in the Peacock version. And of course you get to hear the actual curse words. You know what? I have not watched the latest episode of Traitors. Don't tell me what happened. I have not watched it. I've been, busy. Lucky Pie says Bravo needs to cut me a check. Well, Bravo doesn't run Peacock. NBC Universal does. If they gave us a discount code, that'd be fantastic. If they paid for mine, that'd be fantastic. I don't need them to cut me a check. Pay for mine and then give us a discount code. Hey, Miss Esquire. Miss Esquire says Jared ain't even slapped in the face and it shows. Ain't ever been slapped in the face and it shows. I don't like how Jared speaks to women in DMs. When Bronwyn read his text message, I was just like, he's gross. And then Brittany's just like, oh my God, I didn't know he said that. That's really wrong. Yet she probably will go back to him and hang out with him. Those are telltale signs. If he could talk that way to a woman that he doesn't even know, first of all, that he does have a micro penis. You also know that he'll do that to you when he's upset with you. We've already seen that. Like Jared Osmond, I'm like, he gives me the ick, in my humble opinion. Anyways, I didn't even open up my notes to start where I wanted to start. So Britney comes out. Well, we were talking about Britney. So Britney comes out and they talk about what about Britney having the same dress as Angie K. Here's my issue with this. Because based on what I've seen and what I've known from behind the scenes, these outfits have to be approved by production. So how in the hell did Britney come to the reunion with the same dress as Angie? Like the color scheme, all that stuff is pre-approved. So I don't understand how she would come there with the same dress. And Angie was very lovely about like, well, I'm so grateful that she decided that she wouldn't wear the dress. Production would have told her, you need to take the dress off. You are a friend of, you're not a main character. Exactly. Thank you, Storm. What Storm where you been? Storm says production knew good and well they have to approve them. Shady production. So I know I'm not delusional about that. It's like all that is a process. Okay. But I guess we were going to run with that narrative, and Angie was good about just being like, thank you for not wearing the dress. Even if that was her only dress, production would have said, you can't wear this dress. You need to find another one. Luckily, she did have another one, and probably she intentionally had another one, probably trying to, I don't know if she knew intentionally that Angie had the dress, but maybe she did. Maybe production told her, like, you can't wear the dress. Someone else is wearing the dress. And she still came with it anyway. She's like, she's weird. She gives weirdo behavior. I'm over her social media antics. And again, you guys know I was rooting for not Angie, Britney this season, meaning that she had actual story that they kept on talking about every single week. And she was quirky and weird. And she's also Mormon. So I was sort of like, okay, I'm open to what she can offer. But at this particular point, I don't care, especially if she's going to come back with us with this damn Jared Osmond. Okay. So Bronwyn reads through. First of all, she mentions how Jared called her the B word on social media. Heather brings up that the reason why Jared doesn't like Bronwyn was because she talked about his micro penis. And Bronwyn was like, well, we were talking, someone was telling me the story about Jared when Justin and John were having their fight at Angie's party. So she completely missed that because she was too busy having this conversation. Then she reads these DMs that Jared sent her. Some of what he said, I wrote this down. He says, I bet I'm twice the size of any man you've ever been with. That doesn't mean you're big, Jared. Then he was like, I could certainly pick apart your anatomy, but I will keep it classy and keep it between us. Weirdo behavior. This is a man, a grown man, probably with kids, talking like this to a woman that he barely knows. Like, that said everything that needed to be said about his penis size and about his character. It's small and he has none. Just saying. Mary is asked about Jared too, because as you know, Jared was emailing Mary because he wants to be a part of the cult. Oh, what? What? Who said that? Who said that? Miss Esquire. Who said that? So Mary says, she likes Jared. I didn't expect that because when she talked about Jared before, she was like, yeah, he's been messaging me, talking about how lovely I am and how it gets closer to Christ. And I'm like, okay, weirdo behavior. Okay. They also talk about how Jared was slamming Britney on social media and exposing her, that she just used him to get on the show and blah, 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 blah. And she's like, well, he said that he only said that out of hurt. Okay, Britney, I am so done with you right now. Like, if this is what you want, good for you, girl. Okay. This is when we find out about Whitney's connection to Donnie and Donnie Marie. Apparently, Britney met Donnie because he comes to, I guess, her church, her stack. I don't know. So she talks about that. Then they talk about Britney's estrangement from her daughters. And Bronwyn points out, well, not Bronwyn, Britney tries to blame the estrangement, 6 months of estrangement, on Bronwyn. And Andrew's like, you're blaming her? I thought you came onto the show with an estrangement from your daughters. And then they play her audition tape. And they're like, no, you had an estrangement from your daughters before. You had an estrangement before. And they play the audition tape. But I was just sort of like, you're sitting here to blaming Bronwyn for your estrangement from your daughters, because apparently Bronwyn knew people that were connected to Britney. And those people were warning Bronwyn about Britney. So she believes that something that Bronwyn said caused an estrangement between her. That is a big accusation to put against someone. But here's the thing. I just can't take Britney seriously. I think Britney lies a lot. And I know it's become commonplace for these housewives to lie for the love of Stacey Rush. I'm over these housewives coming on here. It's one thing to withhold information because you don't want to expose too much of yourself or your life, but it's another thing to create a whole narrative. Okay, Bren, a whole narrative. It becomes dangerous. That becomes dangerous behavior. And I know we sort of laughed off the whole recording aspect of what she was doing on the Sprinter, but it could have been a lot more nefarious than what we think. when you think about she's recording something that might never have made the light of day, and she could have leaked that to the blogs. We don't know what she was going to do with that. Willie says Jared saw an opportunity to utilize his last name and be famous. Yeah, because no one ever knew of Jared Osmond until this very moment. Okay. What did Miss Esquire say? Miss Esquire says, for the love of Mia, Stacy, Bringe, Phaedra. Oh my God. And the list goes on and on and on in regards to the people that lie on this damn show. Let me turn my notifications off. I decided to go live a lot earlier than I originally planned, but I wanted to make sure I made time for this. Don't forget, guys, tomorrow we will be live with a special life coach, a special guest, a life coach. Life coach Keisha will be here listening to your stories and your issues and your questions. So set your reminders for that. That will be tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern. If not, just set your notifications. We might go live earlier. You never know. So we'll be talking about that tomorrow. And don't forget, today's live is sponsored by our friends over at Rose Forever. Some of you told me that you were having an issue with the Kempire 20 discount code. I have brought that issue to Rose Forever. Hopefully that has been resolved or will be resolved very soon. So apologies. I have no control over the discount code. That's the discount code they gave me, the link and everything. That's everything they've given me. But I understand it's my name. So just FYI for those that may have had an issue with the discount code, I have forwarded your issue to corporate so they can resolve that. But Valentine's Day is literally a week away. So if you haven't gotten your gift yet, go right now and get your gift. Roses that will last you at least a year. Okay. And they have all kinds of assortments. And maybe you just want something for yourself. There's nothing wrong with getting something for yourself for Valentine's Day because you don't have a man, a girl, or whatever. Get something for yourself. 2025 is about self-care. Okay. And you'll have these roses for a very long time. I showed you, for those that were part of the live yesterday, I showed you roses that I had given away as a gift, and that was like a 2-year-old bouquet. It still was very beautiful. More information on Rose Forever will be available in the description. All right. Back to this. Let me say thank you. Thank you, Tasman, for the super chat. We appreciate your support, guys. You can support also just by liking the video. Tasman, thank you for another super chat. Tasman says, y'all think we found a new Nat in the Bravo universe? Britney is worse than Teddy. Ooh. Tasman, is she worse than Teddy? Oh my gosh. I'm not sure, but you've given me pause to think about. You guys will let me know. Replay crew, you'll let me know. Do you think that Tasman is worse than Teddy Mellencamp? Hey, Mama Allie. Mama Allie says, my husband said I could choose between more roses or overalls, and I chose the overalls. Really? Mama Allie? Really? Anyways. Sadie says, yes, her thirst is so apparent. Yeah. Theo says, I say Brent is worse than Teddy at this point. I wouldn't even compare the two. I feel as if Teddy is not dangerous. I feel like Bryn Whitfield is dangerous. Okay. Rara says, no, Teddy's boring. You got a point. At least with Britney, there have been some moments during the season that she's made me laugh, like at her ridiculousness. Dee Dee says, nobody's worse than Teddy. You got a good point. Okay, Mama Alice says, yes, the farm calls for overalls. All right. Understand. Understood. Okay. All right. So they talk about that. Britney, as I said to you before, blames Bronwyn for the estrangement. And Andy's so confused. So he's like, so you're blaming Bronwyn for your estrangement from your daughters, but you came onto the show saying that you and your daughters were estranged. Then, she's like, well, I blame her for the 3 months. Girl. This is why you probably have an issue with your daughters, because you refuse to take accountability that you chose men over your daughters. And you're lucky that Heather explained to us within the Mormon religion, she's not surprised by that because this is what's normalized. And a lot of mothers do that. You're lucky that she even said that. I wish you would have leaned into that part of the conversation from during the season, as opposed to trying to blame another woman for why your children do not talk to you. Speaking of Heather, because they talk about what Heather said during the after show in regards to Britney. And she says that Britney's living a double life. They talk about the whole Angie bringing her alcohol. I wish she would have just taken ownership instead of continuously still blaming Angie. She's like, well, you said you grew up with Mormons. You should know. You should take accountability. Everyone in the group was like, well, I can understand why Angie might be confused because we hang out and you're drinking. Okay, so And I think sometimes people, it's just what people do because, Angie was raised right. And she's like, I'm going to go to someone's home. So I'm going to bring something. Oh, I have plenty of bottles of wine. Easy. I don't have to really think about it. I'm going to bring this to your home. I also know that you drink. I also know you're a Mormon, but I also know that you're a Mormon that drinks. Did you guys notice that Lisa was trying to defend Britney in that moment? And I get it. She doesn't like Angie. She doesn't like Bronwyn. But I also understand that Lisa's not your typical Mormon either. She has a whole liquor brand. So I get why she's trying to defend Britney. I get it. But at the same time, it doesn't make the most sense at all. So they talk about that. And Angie says that she doesn't think that Britney's a true Mormon. At least, like, oh, you shouldn't say that. I think that is Lisa's own insecurities about other people saying that about her, that she's not a true Mormon. Remember not last season, the early season, like the first season, Heather made comments like that about Lisa, saying that she's not a true Mormon. I think it was also last season when they were talking about Lisa's son doing the mission. Heather was very judgmental. It's so crazy how this was just last season and now Heather's all of a sudden besties with Elise. Okay. Righty then. Thank you, Mama Ellie, for the super chat. Says Brittany's not a gnat. She's just annoying. Yeah. I mean, she could. I think if we've had more years with Teddy to refer to her as a gnat, and we're not interested. Okay. Then Meredith talks about kicking Angie out of her bat mitzvah. And she really tries to justify it. And my thing is, like, Meredith, you watched the playback. You saw what was said during that argument. So you're still at this reunion leaning into the fact that that you threw Angie out because she called Britney a slut. My goodness. Despite Meredith being an attorney, she made no sense in this reunion. A lot of what she said made no sense. When she talks about Jen Shaw and justifying Jen Shaw, she's like, Jen Shaw has served her time. You want to sit there and talk about people's vocabulary. I'm so glad that Mary Cosby corrected her. Serving. She has not served her time. She's serving her time. And is Jen Shaw actually paying back restitution? With what money? With the people's money? With the money that she stole? That's how she's paying back people's restitution? Okay, girl. Mary Cosby, if you're not paying attention, and I get it, some of the cast probably don't hear her. We hear her because production, the editors are elevating her audio so that we hear her. Please understand, when they're in the moment there, they probably can't hear her from across the way. And some of the things that Mary Cosby is saying. And despite Mary Cosby being kooky and weird sometimes, she has been the voice of reason a lot during the season, especially when it comes to Britney. As you know, Mary Cosby does not like Britney. And Britney's like, I don't understand. I like you. I don't understand why you don't like me. Mary Cosby was confused when Britney brought up her physical relationship with Jared. And so were we. And Mary believes that she was using that to distract us from talking about her recording the group. She was. Clearly, that's what she was doing. But I'm glad Mary Cosby was the only one to clock it. Clock it. Here we go, clocking stuff again. She was the only person to clock it. And I wish they would have held Britney a little bit more accountable for that. And but even in the reunion, they sort of just went on the whole narrative, like, it took a lot for her to come forward and admit that she had a physical, it's like she was coming out of the closet. No, she was coming out of the closet so that you guys would stop talking about her. She said that she was still triggered. She was still triggered from the Sprinter van. She said the abuse that they brushed over her abuse. She's like, the abuse that I experienced. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I experienced such abuse from you guys. I still haven't gotten over it. Mary was just like, girl, you need to get over it. It's done. And hopefully you are too. Anyways, before we get to that, they do talk about Bronwyn, the bite marks that she went. We all were shocked when we saw those bite marks at the fact that she even went on this trip. But she was not going to miss this trip. But she does give us an update in regards to she did not sue the foster home that the dog was staying with. She did end up helping and paying for the dog to find a better home. Then they get into a conversation. They talk about Whitney wearing those tags, and Andy's like, where did you hear that from? She's like, someone from Nordstrom told me that Lisa returned her items. And Lisa's like, I don't even shop at Nordstrom. You can look at my Amex bill. Okay, Lisa. I mean, you like, are we going to go through all the statements from your bills? Do we believe that? I don't know if I believe that Lisa sends her stuff back. I mean, look, does she do it all the time? I mean, there's nothing wrong with bringing something back if it doesn't fit, or you just didn't wear it, or you changed your mind about it. But if you do it all the time, that's tacky. But she claims that she doesn't do that. And Whitney says, someone told me that this is what she does. Who told you? Whitney, who told you this? Because you're looking like a straight up liar this entire season. Well, this person told me, and then they said they had the receipts, and they blamed it was Lisa who had a liquor brand. And now someone at Nordstrom told you? Okay. Did Emma get her second job and she works at Nordstrom? I don't know. Anyways, Bronwyn talks about how Lisa feels differently when people talk about her marriage versus when other folks are talking about their marriages. Here's the thing, though. This is where I have to disagree with Bronwyn in regards to Lisa being very defensive when you're talking about her marriage. I think a lot of people, although it might be hypocritical, at the end of the day, if you're going to talk about me and mine, I'm definitely going to have a bigger, larger, more emphatic, passionate reaction than I probably would about your relationship. That's just being honest. So when Brown was trying to explain that, I was just like, well, I mean, I see what you're trying to say. But at the end of the day, her loyalty is going to be to her husband and son. All right. Guys, if you're just joining us, don't forget the Kempire After Dark, a live experience, returns to New York City 2 weeks from tomorrow. 2 weeks from tomorrow, we will be talking all the things, including Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, The Diddler, and so much more. Rest in peace. We did do a quick little video yesterday. Rest in peace to Irv Gotti. He passed away after his second stroke. Second stroke. So very, very sad to hear that. And 50 Cent, I get it. You didn't like the man. But at the same time, you don't have to say anything. I feel like, here's the thing. A lot of people say this in regards to 50 Cent and his beef with some of the people that he has beef with. Well, if you said, I just beef forever, blah, blah, blah. You can't live your life like that. Because honestly, I feel all this bad juju and bad karma that 50 Cent continues to put out there, men or women, is going to come back to him. Like, who is around 50 Cent? Like, who is his loved ones? And will there be anyone that cares about you if you got sick? Like, I get it. You didn't like the man, but you also don't have to go to social media to say anything. I find him to be disgusting for a variety of reasons. Like, I know Irv Gotti was not innocent, and especially some of the things that he said and did to Ashanti, but there's plenty of stuff that I can say about people I don't like when they're in their hour of need, but I don't. I don't even say it to myself because what's the point? I don't want that karma. Get a life. Disgusting. Sorry. SW says no, nobody. Maybe Vivica. Even Vivica, he's burned that bridge so bad. He's burned that bridge so bad. No one cares. Sorry, guys. That was a sidebar. If you missed the video, there was a lot of misinformation, and I was waiting to verify some of that information in regards to Irv Gotti because there were a lot of early reports. And look, some people want to be the first to report a story. I don't care to be the first person. I don't care to be the person breaking a story. I care to make sure that the information at least has been confirmed by multiple sources. And that's when I decided to do the video, even though I'm not at home in my usual space. All right. Thank you, Miss Esquire, for shimmy for the $10. Sorry. Thank you for the super chat. Ms. Esquire says, I think it's not right to say anyone is not a true practitioner of their faith. Plus, I didn't see anybody up there with outfits that would suit garments, except Mary, who has a cult. Look, really? Is that what we're doing right now? Okay. Anyways, let me get back to my notes. I will be dropping the call link for members first. If you haven't already, and I know some of you are going to be mad because Kempire, you normally do this a lot earlier. I was busy digging up little holes to plant for the season. I was in my true earth sign nature today. I was doing some planting. I loved it. I was getting my planting on today. So if I have a little bit of a tan, or tomorrow you'll notice probably more. I was out in the sun. Plan. All right, moving along. So they revisit Let me just make sure I didn't skip over anything I wanted to talk about. All right. Bronwyn and Lisa fight over who has each other back, who's had each other's back more during the season. I think they both had valid reasons. They showed different examples of how Bronwyn had Lisa's back during the Angie and Whitney conversation. They showed Lisa when she had a Bronwyn's back as well. I don't think that their beef is not something that they can't get over. I think Bronwyn came into the season thinking that she was closer with Lisa than they actually were. And I think Bronwyn probably was delusional. You yourself said that when you met Lisa, Lisa was sort of like, I want to be your friend. I don't believe that Lisa and Bronwyn had that type of friendship, but I think because they knew each other, she expected a lot more. I don't think they were that close. Maybe they will become that close. I don't see where Bronwyn and Lisa can't get to a better place. But I think because of the Gwen of it all, it might be a sore spot between them because that is pretty serious. So they're still talking about that. So Brittany talks about hearing Meredith throwing up. Okay. Meredith loses her mind yet again. She's like, I've had enough of this. I don't think Meredith realizes the more upset and belligerent and disgusted she gets about this makes us kind of look like, so what's happening in your room? Because why are you getting so upset? Because Meredith could have easily been like, yeah, I got a little sick. I'm in Mexico. I got a little, the alcohol and the enchiladas didn't agree with me. So I threw up. What's the issue? She made it an issue by getting so angry about it and getting angry during this reunion had us all like, even Andy was just like, oh, what is happening? Is this true? The rumors and the nastiness, the slurring of it all. Like, what are you doing? You're making us think, okay, like, what was really happening then? So she gets really upset with Britney, and they're sitting right next to each other. I don't know if you can see this in the Bravo version, but there was a point in the conversation, Britney does thank Meredith for having her back when they were talking about something else. I don't think that was in the Bravo version, but they were and Meredith was like, you're welcome. Okay, girl. But when you talk about the whole throwing up part, and Lisa's like, Meredith doesn't have an eating disorder. Okay. So why are we, like, it's weird. Let's move on. Okay. So they talk about Britney and her recording the group. And Andy brings up all the different excuses that she brought up. And Britney's like, they're all true. They're all a part of the same truth. So she had so many different reasons why she was recording the group. And then she's like, I don't want to blame editing, and Andy's like, editing can't make a video longer. She's like, I don't want to blame editing, but girl, like, she's such a dishonest person. I don't even know who Britney really is at this particular point. As she can sing, beautiful voice. We could care less about you. Okay. So they talk more about that. And this is where Mary talks about why she dislikes Britney. And they asked Mary, why were you so upset with Angie going to check on Britney? And she was like, because I felt like Angie was being fake. I wish in this moment they would have flashed back to that monumental scene where we see Mary Cosby and Angie, have that conversation. Because for me, that was probably like my favorite scene from the season. Because I didn't expect, first of all, I didn't expect them to have drama. And I didn't expect to learn about how these two women have become so truly close. For me, that was one of I could care less about Britney and what's going on with Britney. But in this particular moment, I was like, oh, I'm so surprised that editing did not include at least a snippet of that moment because it was such a beautiful moment. And I agree with Mary. Why was Angie going after Britney? You don't like this woman. You've never liked this woman. There's no closeness to this woman. And it goes back to some of the things with Angie that can be seen as performative that I don't love. But I can understand why Mary would be a little perturbed. But they've gotten over it. And Andy talks about, their connection and God bringing them together. And Mary's like, yeah, I do believe that God, anything in my life, I feel like God brings it to me. A reason, a season, or a lifetime. She didn't say that part. She just said reason or season. Okay. All right. Moving on. Meredith talks about Jen Shaw calling her. And Whitney's just like, that is so hypocritical. How is that different than me calling Monica? Meredith's just like, I didn't call Jen Shaw to use any information against my friends. How do we know? I know you didn't call Jen Shaw, but how do we know you didn't try and get information from Jen Shaw? Why would you talk to Jen Shaw? And Mary Cosby, yet again, is the voice of reason. She's like, if Jen Shaw was to call me, I would not accept the call. She lied on this group. She ruined this group. She even said up until, like, this woman lied up until the point where she couldn't lie anymore. And she took a deal, a last minute deal. Up until the very end, this woman took no accountability. So I understand. And did you guys notice Heather? Heather was just sitting there like a traumatized doll, just like not saying anything because Heather lied about the black guy who gave her the black eye. Heather seems very scared of Jen Shaw for whatever reason. I don't know what Jen Shaw has on her. I think people have mixed feelings about Jen Shaw coming back to Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. This season alone proved that you don't need Jen Shaw. I know they brought her up and talked about her, but you don't need Jen Shaw. Some people speculate that Jen Shaw might have things on everyone in this group. You remember there was a rumor that Jen Shaw and Meredith were in the back of a booth, legs akimbo, and look, allegedly, that was a rumor. Remember? That was a rumor. Even if that was true, I don't think Meredith would care at this particular point, or would she? Who knows? Veronique, there we go. It says Salt Lake is a pit of religious trauma. Yeah. Sophia says, I like that. Sophia, not Sophia, but Sophia. Heather is still affected by Jen Shaw. It's incredible the influence that Shaw has over Heather. It's kind of weird, but it might be stems from Heather's religious trauma. It could be. And Jen Shaw was just a disgusting person, but okay. So Meredith talks about how she served her time and she's paying restitution. And Meredith's like, she is serving her time. And I just don't understand why you would still be friends with this woman after what she's done to this group. Okay. Then they start talking about Mary calling everyone in this group not the friendliest when they were in Mexico and including Meredith. And Meredith's like, do you really think that I'm cold, Mary? And Mary doubles down and she's like, yeah, I think you can be cold. And then Meredith's just like, well, I think I can be cold when there are people I don't like. Okay. I think it can be cold when there are people I don't like. I think Meredith can be cold. Remember in part 2 of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City reunion, we saw Meredith be very cold while everyone's crying and Mary's talking about her son's addictions and issues. You just proved our point. Everyone, including Lisa Barlow, is tearing up. Andy Cohen is tearing up. And Meredith is sitting there like a mannequin, cold. Do I think that Meredith does have a heart? I do. I don't really think that Meredith is cold. But based off of this, Meredith is cold. Cold-blooded. Cold-blooded. All right. Before we get to the rest of this, I am going to drop the call-in link for our members first on the community tab. So let me do that before I forget. All right. Guys, keep liking the video. It's easy and it's a free way to support the channel. And don't forget, you can hear a podcast version of our live recaps on the Kempire podcast. While you're there, don't forget to give us a 5-star rating. Okay. And don't forget, we will be live tomorrow talking about love and dating, heartbreak. Shout out to those of you that have been so transparent and sharing your stories. Feel free. We are going to have a timer tomorrow because we do have a special guest and I want to be able to get a lot of answers and questions and things like that tomorrow. I'm very excited about this new era of what we've been doing this season. So I'm going to love to have those conversations and maybe we'll talk a little bit more about it during the Kempire After Dark live experience. So if you want to, come up to the mic and share your dating experience, but please practice it so we can do it in under like 2 minutes. Okay. But tomorrow we will give you a certain amount of time. It won't be 2 minutes, but set amount of time. And like that, tell me what a good amount of time would be. 3 minutes, 5 minutes, just let me know. Hey, Ariana. Oh, Ariana says, I'll see you tomorrow, Camp. I have updates. I feel like I'm getting to know you guys on such a personal level. Like I'm learning so much. And I also believe you can learn from people. And this is why I think so many people that who listened to the replay of the 5-hour live that we did last week, you can learn a lot from other people's rise and fall and issues and lessons. So Lou says 5 to 7 minutes. Lord have mercy. So 5 minutes. Well, look, Ariana says 3 to 5 minutes. So I'm going to say 5 minutes. I think 5 minutes would be fair. Okay. Oh, Ariana says, you're my bestie in my head. Arjun says, wait, is this studio not part of your house, Kempire? No, I'm not home. Miss Esquire has spoken. She says 5 minutes and I'm long-winded. Honestly, though, Miss Esquire, I will say this. You have a lot to say, but a lot of what you say is like relevant. There are some people like Dorit that say a lot of nothing. You know what I mean? And that might be the Virgo in you. Okay. And shout out to a lot of you. But honestly, I have to say, a lot of the callers, I wasn't bored by what people had to say. I was like, tell me more. But because we have a guest tomorrow, not everyone has my patience. Okay. Yes, Miss Parker, how long have you been following the channel? Miss Parker says the background is giving vintage Kempire lives. That tells me you've been around a long time, Miss Parker. The fact that you even know that. How long have you been watching the channel? Vintage. Okay. It's all baby says. I can't wait for tomorrow. I made sure to add it to my account. I love that. Thank you so much. Arjun says, Kempire, I waited 3 hours and it was 5 a.m. here. I felt sorry, Arjun. We'll be adding the timer tomorrow. I will be more of a moderator. Life Coach Keisha will be answering your questions. All right. So Tasman says, Kempire is outside. Look, for those that have been following the channel, y'all know I do leave my home a lot. And I travel a lot, but I'm still working. Look, Katrina says we Virgos do have a lot to say, but at least what you guys say have points. Some people will like to read, just verbose for no reason. Julie, thank you so much for the super chat. Julie says Andy is messy, and in my opinion, Jen Shaw will be back on Salt Lake City. Like, I wouldn't doubt it, to be honest with you. She will be in Salt Lake, but remember, she also burned a bridge with Bravo. She didn't leave Bravo in good footing. Joyce, thank you so much for the super chat. Joyce says, I can't believe I missed the beginning of this live. Hey, Kempire, can't wait to meet you February 21st. Meredith is nuts. Love Mary Cosby. Joyce, I look forward to meeting you as well at the Kempire After Dark live show in New York City. Shout out to those of you that have already bought not meet and greet tickets, but they're meet and greets as well. But shout out to those of you that have bought the live stream. So this New York City show will have a live stream. So if you haven't got your tickets, be sure to get your tickets for that if you can't make it to the show in person. Mary, I don't have a boo. Mary says, are you with your boo? No, I don't have a boo. Y'all do realize people can travel without having a boo, right? You can just go to travel to be with your friends, family. Those things do exist. I promise you I'm not hiding a boo yet. When the boo does happen, I probably will hide them, but, y'all would never know. All right, so let me get back to this. Shout out to the members that are already backstage. I just want to briefly talk about these other parts. So Heather talks about the burn game. Again, a very iconic moment, a part of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City season finale. Did not expect this. And Andy says, when the game worked, it really worked. And when they showed the different examples, they talked about the different examples. I was like, it really was cathartic. It really was, although very messy, and it's not a game that I personally would want to play with my friends. Not that I really even say anything negative like that about my friends, but I'm just saying, I would have to dig and find something negative that I've said about my friends and then to put it out there. Sometimes it's not worth it. Not sometimes. Most of the time, it's not worth it. You can feel a way about your friends and not have to say it. Some things are just not worth it. This is where it comes when people say choose your battles. Not every battle is worth it. You have to decide at some particular point, I can live with this particular type of person and the type of friend that they are, or you can't. If it's really hurting you and it's hurting your life in some shape or form, then I could understand, maybe wanting to have the conversation and see if it's worth keeping the friendship. So they talk about the fallout from the burn book. Whitney talks about burning her issues with Lisa. And if you watch the Peacock version, I don't remember in the Bravo version if you see when Whitney gets up And then she sits down with Lisa because she's like, I don't want anyone involved in this conversation. And Whitney swears that the worst thing that she's ever said about Lisa had to do with Lisa's marriage. I don't believe that. But I have to tell you something. Woo, woo, Lisa Barlow. I really felt for Lisa. When she talks, she's like, I really have no one. I'm one of 6 children. I could have been trafficked and my family wouldn't have noticed. That was the most depth. I think we reached her depth of 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 who Lisa Barlow is when she was talking in that moment. I was like, oh, Lisa, and she's like, you guys like to say that I'm fake, I'm inauthentic. And I was like, and I told you, I do believe that who we get with Lisa Barlow is as deep as we're going to get until that moment. And I fell for Lisa in that moment because I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah, she said trafficked. She said I could have been trafficked and nobody would, because she talks about being raised with all these kids and not feeling close and not feeling protected and not feeling loved. So she says Jack, John, and Henry are her life because it's her little family. So when you attack that, she really gets upset about that. And that was probably the first time in my life that I was like, oh, Lisa. Elijah says she is. And I told you, I believe her inauthenticity is who she really is. It's hard for me to explain in words what I mean by that. Is that there are a lot of people that are liars. Like Brynn, I think she's inauthentic, but she's dangerous. I think Lisa is who she is. Like there isn't a lot of depth. But in that moment where she talks about her family, her her siblings and her parents, and then she talks about the little family that she's created with John, I got it. It was one of the very first times I said, okay. Moni says she was crying with no tears though. She always does though. She always does. Tish, thank you so much for being a member for 27 months. She says using this to be a chaotic, what a sign is that again? And publicly say that the only tolerable earth sign is Taurus. Thank you. What's the sign? What's your sign again? What is that symbol like? I forgot. I always forget the symbols. You guys remind me in the chat. But I agree. I agree. We are the only tolerable earth signs. Sorry, Virgo. Sorry, Capricorns. I don't really Sagittarius. I like a Sagittarius. I could never date a Sagittarius, but I always tell you, I think Sagittarius are like they're kid-like. When I say kid-like, I'm not meaning that in a negative way. I'm saying like there's just something very youthful. Mexi says, "Do you think it's because of Botox why there's no tears? Does Botox do that? Can you not cry with Botox?" Okay. Veronique says her core is surface. That's an achievement. I feel like in this reunion in part 3, we finally get to see a little bit more depth to Lisa. When she talked about her growing up in her family being one of 6, I said, wow. And there it is. There it is. Mods, can you let me know how many likes we've gotten to? We have nearly 800 people watching. Let me know, and I'll drop the call-in link. But we do have quite a few members that are backstage that want to talk about Real Housewives of Salt Lake City's final part of the reunion. I apologize for those that are watching the replay of this. You're like, Kempire, you normally are live earlier with this. I can do the live when I can do the live, but we will be live tomorrow evening to talk about life, love, dating, and heartbreak. Katrina says that Lisa has no Botox. I'll give her that. I don't know if that's shade or what it is. Sophia says that, yeah, Cam, I think we got a glimpse of the real Lisa. And I really, like, my heart opened up to Lisa Barlow for a second. Mexi says, one of my closest friends is a Sag. I don't really have any Sag friends like that. Not that I know of. I don't really have a lot of Sag friends. Thank you, Arjun. Guys, let's get to 300 likes and I'll drop the call-in link for the live chat. Thank you, Mama Ali. Let's get to 300 likes and I'll drop the call link for the live chat. Let me just talk about this last moment of the reunion. So, look, Britney leaves. Britney leaves, but before Britney leaves, Lisa and Whitney, I have to give it to Lisa. I felt like Lisa was going to burn it, but then Whitney kept on talking and kept on bringing us back. And then they finally get to a place where, okay, we won't bring this up again. And then Lisa admits to actually having a soft spot for Whitney. And I was like, really? But again, I think that's elements of us watching an edited show. We don't see the depths of any of these friendships like that, except Angie and Mary. If we're lucky, we'll get a glimpse into a depth of someone's relationship. And so, Whitney and Lisa finally, after many back and forth and Whitney screaming, they finally seem to burn it. But we shall see. We shall see what season 6 of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City will be. So Britney ends up leaving. They come back and they do, can you say something positive about this particular person? And Britney's backstage. They literally have a camera on Britney backstage watching from the distance. She's like, I should be out there for that. Oh my God, she's so desperate and thirsty. No, go sit down in your trailer, go change your clothes and go home. Go home, you stalker. So Mary weighs in. I don't know. I don't know if anyone else noticed this season. It seems like Mary and Heather have grown a little bit of a friendship. I noticed it during the Mexico trip. I kind of want to see just a scene with them hanging out, or maybe a scene with Mary and Angie and Heather, because Angie's good friends with Heather too. Sidebar. Did you guys see the first 7 minutes of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills? I just have to say this now because I might forget it next week, but I won't because I'm going to watch it over. For those that say that Sutton doesn't have a storyline, y'all didn't see this storyline coming. We're in Augusta, and I'm like, whoa, I didn't see this storyline coming. And I said this before, you don't need a storyline if you're an interesting person. And Sutton is an interesting person, and apparently so is Reba. So we're back in Augusta next week. And of course, Garcelle's going to have a conversation with Reba. Because Garcelle, I really feel like Garcelle and Sutton have really formed a friendship, a deep friendship that's outside of the show. And I think it's part of the reason. I think Garcelle knows far more about what's going on between Sutton and Reba. And next week, I did not see this being a storyline this season. And I'm so happy for it because I'm done us talking about Dorit and PJ. I'm done with us talking about Dorit and Kyle. I'm done with us trying to pretend like Dorit's that girl. And I love the fact that people are clocking Bose for some of the things that she said in this last episode. Bose. And I like Bose. Don't get me wrong. I think Bose provides a lot of grounded conversation and a perspective that's not a part of this group. But she showed her true colors because a lot of people are calling her out for really just seeing it from the Dorit side. We all know that Kyle is obnoxious and a drag. But I can appreciate everyone finally seeing like, Bose, you could have just played it from the sidelines. The fact that Bose decided to go to Kathy Hilton, maybe not realizing the depths of the darkness that's happened between Kyle and Kathy, to mentioning, like, I think your sister's cold. I would not be going to someone's sibling, especially one they've had an issue with that. And I'm not going to sit here like Kyle is innocent and that no one else has said that Kyle is cold. I think Garcelle called her cold. But Garcelle did not go to Kathy Hilton and say it. So you can already tell that Kyle's going to have an issue with Bose because the last person that got between her and her sister really was an issue for her. But at this particular point, I can't even be mad about it. Okay, Miss Esquire say I'm taking a little bit of a break from Salt Lake City because I saw the first 7 minutes of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and I wanted to mention it. Miss Esquire says Reba is a real Southern mother. She's so relatable. So many Southern mothers are made of steel and raise their daughters with a harsh kind of love. I'm so glad you said that, Miss Esquire, because a lot of people, I think, and look, I think two things can be true. They're painting Reba with the brush of, oh, she's racist, and blah, blah, blah. And she could be, don't get me wrong. But I think there's an aspect of some people that aren't from the South, that aren't, they don't see it from that lens. And I'm glad that you said that. But I will say this, seeing Reba in Sutton's interaction and also us seeing how much of Sutton really is Reba, it's really interesting. It's interesting. I'm more interested in this than anything related to Dorit right now. Please and thank you. Wacka-weezer. Wait till I get back in the studio. Anyways, guys, if you haven't already, be sure to like the video. mods or someone, please let me know how many likes we've reached. Shout out to our members of the channel. I have posted a call-in link for the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City reunion recaps on the community tab, so you can check it out there. We have quite a few people backstage as well. Okay. Thank you, Elijah. We're almost at 300 likes. Once we get there, let me know and I'll drop the call in link. I've been reprimanded by our mods for being too kind to the live chat when it comes to this. You guys should like the video, but our members will always make it available to you guys. Okay. You know, Miss Melon Magic, go sit down. You are such a troublemaker. Okay. All right. Before we get to the callers, they end the reunion. I thought this was a great way of ending the reunion where they all have to say something nice about certain people. And Mary says something nice about Heather. Lisa says something nice about Whitney. Whitney says something nice about Lisa. Meredith talks about Angie. Angie says something nice about Meredith. Bronwyn says something nice about Heather. I actually, because I told you, I wanted to see Heather and Bronwyn find a good place with each other because I think they would be fun to watch. And what Bronwyn says about Heather and respecting Heather, and she says, like, I think you're so smart. And Heather got emotional, especially when Bronwyn talks about Heather as a mother. And we've said this before. Go back and watch our recaps of Salt Lake City. We said, and we didn't get to see any of that really this season. Heather with her daughters and how she's raising her daughters is actually something to celebrate and to applaud Heather for. And I know we've been very critical of Heather this season, but I haven't forgotten those moments. And I've said, Heather, you could be that girl if you would just actually be that girl instead of following other people. Look, just saying. All right. Thank you. We hit 300 likes. Let me drop the call link for our live chat. There we go. All right. So I like that moment. And maybe this will open up a door. And I think Bronwyn will be returning next season. She did have a great season. The end, not so much, but she did have a great season. Okay. Mary then asked Andy to do her. And he's like, I was going to ask Meredith to do you, but okay. So he says something really sweet about Mary. And he just talks about the depths of Mary and what she shared this season. But he also says how unintentionally funny she is. And then Mary shares her thoughts on Andy Cohen. It seemed like he was getting a little emotional as well. It was such a nice way to end the reunion. And they were like, we should have ended Mexico. Meredith says, we should have ended Mexico like this. But Heather says a great point, and that's something that we can take into our lives. Sometimes the journey is the journey is what leads us to this point. And they had to kind of go through all of that stuff in order to get to this point where they could say something nice about each other. Right? Right. Okay. All right. So let me get to some callers. Let me put on my disclaimer, guys. Don't forget our show today is being sponsored by friends over at Rose Forever. The discount code is Kempire20. I did reach out to Rose Forever to make sure that discount code is working. So stay tuned for that. But literally, it's a week away. Valentine's Day. Get something for someone you love, something that will last at least a year. They have all assortments of different roses and flowers now and candles. So you have a variety of things that you can get at Rose Forever, plus $20 off with our discount code. Be sure to check out the description for more details, along with information about the Kempire After Dark live show. Okay, so we'll be returning to New York City next week. No, the following week, 2 weeks from tomorrow. The Green Room 42. So get your tickets for that. There's also a live stream ticket available. All right, let me put up my disclaimer to let people know that, the opinions of the callers do not reflect the opinions of myself or the Kempire LLC. Okay? Okay. All right. Let's get to some of these callers. All right. Hayat is backstage. We're going to bring Hayat up first. Hayat, what did you want to share about?
Oh my God, I'm first. Hi, Kempire.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. I had to Google earth signs and then realize I am offended. I'm a Capricorn. I didn't know they were earth signs. But anyways,
sorry.
It's neither here nor there. I don't know about you, but I found this reunion to be a little bit boring in comparison to this season.
Yeah.
But it was still good. Like, I liked the wrap up. I liked a lot of the different conversations that they were having. But I was just like, did we need 3 parts? Didn't really feel like 3 parts. If we keep Britney as a friend of, which I think they need to, because I do not need that getting to her head, don't you think Meredith should be a friend of?
Quiet as is kept. Yes.
I'm just saying, she doesn't even live there, as Mary has pointed out. And by the way, thank God for Mary because she hold these women to task. Like everything about Jen Shaw was like what I was thinking, and I'm like, if anybody has a problem with Jen Shaw, it should be you, Meredith, and it should be you, Heather, who is just being silent over there.
It's like that.
It was very weird. But other than that, thanks so much for doing this late live because I finished cleaning. I feel nice and refreshed, and then now I got to end my night like this.
Thank you, Haya. We always appreciate you. Have a good night.
You too. Bye.
Bye. All right, we have Winter backstage. We're going to bring Winter up next. Winter, what's going on?
Hi, Kemp. How are you?
Well, how are you?
Good. I was worried about you. Me and my best friend, like, he hasn't posted. Oh my God, he hasn't went live. Like, I was like really getting concerned, but I'm glad you enjoying yourself.
Thank you.
So I'm tired of seeing Meredith with her stink face. Like, if you really don't like these people, which we know you don't, go back to New York City where we know you spend like half the year or where you really live. And that dress, the more I see it in action, I'm just like, it really does age her. Like, it looks so old on her. Like, it makes her look old.
It's
But
better
that,
without the jacket.
yeah, it just was horrible. I didn't like it. But like that moment with Lisa and she expressed herself about being like part of a big family, I understood that because I was like, I come from a family of 9. Like I have 8 siblings. So, and if you're not like the oldest or the youngest, you know you're not the fave. Like if you're middle, like you kind of feel that way sometimes. So I did understand. Yeah. So I definitely understood her point of valuing her little family. Sometimes you have to go and create your own family. And I was just like, wow, like Lisa is really opening up for a second. So I appreciated that or whatever. But Meredith with the Jen Shaw thing, like, girl, that says a lot about your character. Don't even speak her name on this stage. Like, we don't want to hear that. Don't give her any shine and don't give Bravo any ideas of bringing her back. Like, she committed some horrible crimes. I really feel like they're reducing her sentence more and more. That goes to show you, like, I really just feel like she's not gonna come out and feel and like, you know, be regretful and feel like she paid her dues. I don't understand why my Meredith would even say that. Like, why would you want to be associated with her?
Yeah.
But anyways, that's all I had to say. I felt like it was a good season. I would like to see them all back. Britney, she's stunted. We just bring her back as a friend. That's all.
Okay. Thanks, Winter.
Good night.
Good night. All right. We have Nelson the Virgo. We got 2 Virgos lined up back here. Nelson the Virgo, what's going on?
Hey, Cam. Good night, everyone. How are you? That caller that said what she said about Meredith's face, that was out of control. But I have to rewatch the reunion because I like to watch the Peacock version. But I thought the whole thing was really cool. I really love the relationship that Mary and Angie really have. And I don't know if it was the truth or not about what really if whatever happened to Mary's mom is true or not. But if that is the truth, I feel like that's the reason that her and Angie are like really close because Angie knows what it feels like to lose a mom. And if that news about Mary's mom is true about her passing away, that is probably the reason why I don't know if that was true. I don't know. Don't call me allegedly. I don't know. I don't know. So don't
I
take my
haven't
word
heard that.
people. But I'm just saying like maybe like that
Well, here's
reason.
the thing. I will say this. Mary and her mother, they used to be close and now they're not close. And I think that's
Yeah.
where Mary and Angie found the closest because of the estrangement from her mom and Angie losing her mom. I haven't heard about her mom being passing away. Ariana says allegedly it happened last month. I
Oh,
don't.
see, I don't even want to. That's why I said don't call me on it. I don't believe it. But even if that was like something like that, like I just see like yeah, I'm very spiritual. Like I'm Virgo here, so I'm always thinking, and I'm a clock it. But I just think that like that thing is really cool. I like with them, and that might be the reason that that they're really close like that. And I just appreciate seeing real friendships like that on TV because I think we miss watching real reality TV. And it's no problem with like, the little things that they throw in there. And I think Brittany is a good example of someone that you just throw in there to like shake it up. That's what she did. She shook Meredith up. I firmly believe that maybe Meredith is on something because girl, why did you give that reaction? You didn't have to do all that. Like allegedly, I don't believe it. It's a show. I'm not about that, but I'm just saying it feels a little weird, but it was a good season overall. And I cannot wait for the show. Shout out to the Kempire crew from the night. And I
Oh,
can't wait to meet everybody there. You already know the vibe. It's always a good time.
yes.
So I can't wait.
Thank you, Nelson, and look forward to seeing you again.
Yes.
Have a good day.
You too.
Bye. Oh, good night, I should say. Okay. Let me see. Hey, Chrissy. Chrissy says another blogger who interviewed the family reported it a couple of days ago. I mean, I haven't heard anything. This is the first time I'm hearing it. But if that is the truth, I mean, I related more so Mary and Angie's connection prior, because if it's true that she passed away at the end of last month, then we have to remember what's being filmed and what's being shared between Mary and Angie. They were talking about just the estrangement of Mary and her mom, because her mom used to be her best friend, and Angie losing her mom. So I'm sure they can relate now too, more than ever as well. But either way, again, I don't like to report on something unless I know it for a fact, but that's my first time even hearing about it. All right. Hey, Ebony. Ebony says, I appreciate this night live Kempire mods. I did walk away the pounds after work, and now I have to get, I get to catch a Kempire live. Hey, Ebony, we appreciate you being here. Okay, let me bring up Miss Esquire next. Miss Esquire, what did you want to share about the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City?
Hi, good evening. I appreciate this too because my kids go to bed at 8:30, so I've clocked out of my first job. No, I will also say Tauruses are the only tolerable earth sign because y'all tolerate more than Capricorns and Virgos are willing to. That's why people like y'all out of the three of us. And that's okay. We need good representation in the front man. I will say somebody just asked me in the chat, and I'm going to answer them now. They're like, why are you saying Mary has a cult? Because people have said that they were in a cult. That's why I'm saying she is a cult. Because I tend to listen to victims, and when they say something credible, I tend to believe them. Now, I don't know if the lady literally has a cult, but I know that she has been, at least financially, very abusive to people, allegedly, who were members of her church. And that's on her, I'm about to say, and that's from her own words. So, but I don't hate Mary. I think that people in the chat can think that I don't hate Mary. I actually really like Mary, and as somebody who grew up missionary Southern Baptist, I recognize her. Like that Pentecostal vibe, I absolutely recognize it for what it is. And I can't imagine what her experience has been as a Black woman in Salt Lake who wasn't Mormon. So you weren't clued into that religious community. You have this completely different thing, not to mention it's just her familial background, for lack of a different word, is weird at best and seems abusive at worst. Your grandmother telling you to marry your step grandfather so that you can inherit all that she built, and that was the only pathway that she would allow because you were a girl, and then you having an estranged relationship from your father and your mother. God bless her mother. I hope that she's well. But like, and so I say all that to say also, they were not wrong to say that Mary is not warm to them. Mary is normally throwing the best possible shade I've heard to these folks who are allegedly her friends. But I understand why she is the way she is. I don't think she grew up with a lot of warmth and a lot of love and a lot of expression of love. And so that's why when you see her relationship with Angie, you see her be so vulnerable. I love that for her because I don't know that she's had much of that in her life. But I think Mary's a little weird to be like, y'all aren't very warm to me. I'm like, girl, you give below frigid temperatures sometimes. So I understand. Lisa is sincerely insincere. That's the words you're looking for. She is sincerely insincere. She does not have a lot of depth, unfortunately. And she is so Tamar coded. And if you watch the Braxton family, nobody behaves like that if they were raised in a way where they were seen and they were valued. But if you were raised in a family where you had to fight for attention just to be seen, you would act the way that Lisa acts. I understand why she protects her family, but also her need to center herself all the time probably comes from their childhood trauma. I will say I want this whole cast to stay. This is the only show across the Bravo universe of Housewives where I don't want one change in the cast, except I do agree with y'all. Meredith could go to a friend of. But other than that, I don't need no new people to come in. I certainly don't need no formerly incarcerated people to come back. And I think Meredith wants Jen Shaw to come back because she will film with Jen Shaw. She will broker in Jen Shaw. And then she doesn't have to be, once again, vulnerable herself and give us anything of a story. It is absolutely, there's no other reason why she would go to those depths to try to defend Jen Shaw. She's trying to set her up for a comeback. We don't want that. This is not Teresa Giudice. This is a completely different set of circumstances. I know Bravo is probably salivating at the opportunity, but nobody really wants to see that here. Yeah, that's it. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Esquire.
All right, good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye. Tisha. Ooh. Please hold. We got an emergency alert. Delete. All right. That scared me. Tish says, I think the production team and editors really help elevate this show. Wow. That wasn't an Amber Alert. It was a weather alert. Yeah, Sevi says Lisa is sincerely insincere. Yep. All right. Willie says Jen Shaw is annoying. We have to remember the difference between Jen Shaw and like a Teresa Giudice is more so Teresa was sort of just the doting wife that signed off on anything. We're talking about Jen Shaw, who was not allegedly, she was convicted, was the mastermind. So that is the clear difference. Okay, let me get to some more callers. We got Miss Bernice. Well, not Miss Bernice. We have Bernice backstage. Hey, Bernice, what's going on?
Hi, Kempire. How are you?
Well, how are you?
I'm okay. I watched the reunion and I wanted to say, I don't really like this show. I don't like the Salt Lake City. I'm sorry. I really don't. Because it's like watching the Kardashians. I can't take their voice. I get irritated by like certain voices, a certain way people talk. And Whitney is like, I don't know. I'm just annoyed. But my comments is Meredith should go. I like how Mary checked her because it was like all of a sudden she wanted to forgive everything Jen Shaw did. And Mary's like, no, I wouldn't even be friends with her. And the way Andy like backed Mary with, she lied to like everybody up until, the day she even went in. I don't think they will bring her back from, just the vibe that he gave and from what Mary, and then they kind of, just like they shunned Monica, they would probably shun Jen. And Heather looked like she didn't want to say nothing when they was talking about it. Her face, because the camera went over to her and her face looked half scared, half, I don't want to comment.
It makes me wonder, did she also speak to Jen Shaw and she didn't want it to come up?
I wouldn't be surprised. But that too, a lot of them lie. So it's like, I'm not getting anything truthful. So I don't know. I'm not really feeling the show too much. I did watch though because of you and others and, but it's just not my vibe. And New York, I don't know. Can I talk about New York or no?
You can.
I need facts for Bryn because just because your grandmother took you to a salon when you was little, a black hair salon to get your hair done, doesn't make you all of a sudden identify with black. I need to know more about your life. Like, were you raised around your black side of the family? Were you with black? Because a lot of stuff she did, nope, not happening. I'm sorry. So I'm just going to say it. And Uba, so she was being so ignorant about the whole Puerto Rico. I just did not like the energy she gave about that whole situation. Like, how dare you? Because for a fact, if someone was in Africa and you took them to your country and and they acted like that or behaved that way, she would snap probably because she already showed that she has like a little temper or irritation when it comes to certain things. And for you to just be like, I don't really care. I don't care. Like, that was so ignorant of her to be like. So it's like, you seem like you don't care about a lot. So just don't be on the show. Go to Connecticut and make some babies and love your man that you with. So And that's all I really had to say about that.
All right, Miss Bernice, thank you.
And I will see you. And I'm still working on that. I found the outfit, but I'm trying to decide if I want it to be like an African outfit since it's Black History Month, or if I just want to do regular.
No,
Or if I want to do regular.
look African.
Go all out for the Black History, right?
All right, thank you, Bernice. Have a good day.
Me too. Bye-bye.
It's Black History Month. Tish, thank you so much for the super chat. Tish says maybe Meredith wants her back to do and say all the nasty, nasty things and keep her hands clean. Weaponize her temper and theatrics. Who knows? Who knows? All right. Arjun is backstage. Arjun, what did you want to share about Real Housewives of Salt Lake City?
So I was going to say, hi, first of all, it's been a long time. I haven't called in. But I was going to say, I was confused about, like, the relationship between the women in the show. So I watched Salt Lake City from the start. Like, I've been watching it from the start, right? Why has Heather changed so much? Heather from season 1 and 2, like, she was so activated. But now she doesn't. She doesn't give me the same vibe.
Yeah, we talked about that.
I need that Heather back. I need that Heather back. And Heather for season 6, let's say if Britney was lying about the recording, that should be on season finale of season 6. Bring it up. Tell her the actual reason. I think that would be really cool. And Lisa needs to bring Emma back. Emma, not back. Like, they need to bring a scene with Emma. I think that would be a good scene. I actually
Will we care though this time next year?
Yes, I do. I do. I want to see Bronwyn's reaction to that.
Okay.
Yeah. I really like the show. I actually really like the show. Like, Beverly Hills is boring, but Salt Lake City is so good.
It really had a good season. I felt like the reunion kind of dipped for me.
The
But
reunion was so boring. They don't bring it.
yeah.
To be honest, the only franchise that can bring it to the reunion is Atlanta. They can bring it, but other than that, none of the other housewives bring it. And Miami as well. Miami actually brings it. Miami as well. Real Housewives of Miami.
Oh, yeah.
They bring it, but other than that, all these other housewives are so boring.
Yeah, I love Miami. I look forward. I think we're going to get a trailer soon.
Oh, they went to Sevilla. I'm so excited to see that. Because I went to Sevilla 2 years ago, and I was there for 2 weeks. So I want to see how, from their point of view and how I viewed it. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah. Okay.
Also, I messaged Jessel on Instagram. And she was so nice to me.
Of course you are. You're a fan.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
You thought she was going to be nasty to you?
That's so true. Yeah, I messaged her. It was something small, but I never replied back.
What did you say to her, Arjun?
Oh, I was just appreciating the fact
I
that
love you, Jessel. I think you're fabulous.
Yeah, that's funny. And she was very nice about it.
Of course, I love your fans.
Also, can you just help me with one thing?
What?
When I watch both of them on interviews, I love her, but when she's on the show, I don't feel her. There's something off about it. It's like she looks like a friend of Dorit on the show rather than the main character. And I'm curious, and I can see she's the main character because she wants to be the extra, like us Aquarius, we want to always be the extra. But her backing up Dorit is so wrong. I'm not gonna lie, it's so wrong.
I wouldn't say that it's wrong. I mean, this is your opinion, but I wouldn't say that it's wrong. It just feels like it's coming from a place of ignorance, meaning that she's not really listening to everyone's side.
Exactly, that's what I meant. But yeah, that's what I meant. Like, she's not trying to. I don't get it. Why she's only backing up Dorit, but not Kyle? And also, did they ever bring up? Did anyone ever say, "Oh, why is PK messaging Kyle? Why are they blaming Kyle and not PK?" Like, why didn't? I don't get it. Why are we blaming the woman and not the man? I don't get it. Like these, and I'm not gonna lie. I don't understand. Why are we blaming Kyle? Dorit, you should have those boundaries before. Why is it now only?
Here's the thing. I don't even think that Dorit is actually really upset about it. I think she wanted to have something to be upset about.
Oh, so it's a storyline. Is that what you're trying to say? And they're friends anyways. I think they're back friends, I think.
Yeah, they're back friends now.
Oh, so it's a storyline. There we go. Bye. But
thank you, Arjun. Have a good night.
I'm going to be on the dating line. Can I speak about astrology?
Yeah, of course.
I wanted to speak about it because you were speaking about Indian astrology, and I was going to speak about it, but then it was 5:30 here, and my phone died, and I went to sleep.
All right, Arja.
I'll see you then.
Bring you in tomorrow. We can talk about, because our guest tomorrow knows a little bit about Vedic astrology as well.
I was surprised you know about the Indian astrology. My face dropped. You shut my face. I was like, why you mention? I was like, how did Kempire know all of this?
First of all, I don't know how new you are to the channel. I've actually brought a Vedic astrologer on the channel before.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna speak about that. I think I'll go now. I will speak about that tomorrow.
You can watch the interview on our Kempire Radio YouTube channel.
I've been watching your Thursday takeovers. I don't know.
Tuesday takeover, yes.
Yeah, you don't have them anymore, do you?
No, I do. We just didn't do it this week. This week, but yeah, we had delayed it because remember I moved last year and it's been a lot. But yeah, all right.
Okay, I'm gonna go back.
Have a good night. All right, Eli's backstage. Guys, who are just joining us, we are taking callers talking about the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City with a splash of other cities that we've talked about. We did recap Beverly Hills and New York City yesterday, so be sure to check that out. You can hear the audio version on the Kempire podcast, and all this stuff will be available in the description. All right. Let me see. Let me bring up Eli. Hold on, Eli. There we go. Eli, what's going on?
Hey, Kempire.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, and you?
Pretty good.
I just wanted to say that I feel like Brown was a phenomenal housewife. I think people were way too hard on her. I feel like people were hard on her for lying, but not hard on their faves for lying. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said last week, you got bobblehead lies, okay? Meredith lies, okay? Like they just lie. They all lie. So it's like, how you going to criticize one for lying and what they all... I feel like they do that to every newbie, though. And I also think Brownwyn had the problem that a lot of newbies had, because I've seen this with Katie too on OC, is I feel like they do stuff during the season and out of fear for backlash, they backpedal instead of standing in the truth, right? And they start getting nervous because they're on the reunion and they want to make sure they do a good impression. So I feel like that's what I've seen from her, along with a lot of personal issues she has inside, a lot of insecurities. And I feel like if we can woo for Heather all the time with the Mormon this and Mormon that, I think we can have some compassion for Bronwyn's insecurities as well. I also think, hot take, Whitney is not a bad housewife. I think she gets the mess going. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people be like, she needs to get off the show, and like, wow, is she the most entertaining? No, but I feel like she's funny without trying. Like, she's a joke in a way. You know what I'm saying? And she don't realize it. But it's like, it's really funny. And I feel like SLC proves that Housewives is not dead. I would say OC and SLC proved that the most, I would say, out of all the franchises. Beverly Hills is good too, you know what I mean? But I feel like they prove that Housewives isn't necessarily dead. I do think that the age of Housewives before is not going to be like now, you know what I'm saying? We're not going to see those same things, but it's not completely dead. And I also feel like the two aged hens of the group are they're hypocrites, okay? Because how are you going to sit up there, because Lisa said it too, that Jen Shah wasn't that bad, that you should only be afraid of her if you're elderly. But then Monica, there's like, oh my God, like there was like a mass like robbery, guns, like they're crying like someone just like beat them up. And yet, they're crying in the wind like this is like, the days of our lives. And yet Jen Shah stole from millions of elderly people and they're making it seem like they're making light of it. And I'm like, it's very hypocritical. I'm not saying Monica was, because Monica had her thing. She did lie too. But again, who hasn't lied on these shows? And I just find it very funny that I feel like we forget about what the OGs do because they're OGs. You know what I'm saying? Just because you're an OG, just because you get first share for doing nothing, Lisa, I feel like, that doesn't mean that you're absolved from making the mistakes that every other newbie does, and then people saying that Bronwyn is crazy, but then they're feeling bad for Brynn. And again, with Brynn, I feel bad for her, and I'm not saying she's lying. None of that. I wouldn't touch that because that's out of respect. But I feel like the cast, they cowarded to her, and she gaslit them the whole reunion. And I feel like, I personally feel like sometimes Bravo empowers people like that, and it's concerning. You know what I mean? Because to me, that can get them in more issues than like what Anini Leaks did. That got them in issues. But stuff like what Brynn is doing, even with Phaedra, you know what I mean? So to me, it's like, I feel like, as Bravo fans, we need to be a bit more fair, because I feel like everyone was giving Bronwyn her lashings. And she deserved it, but like, dang, okay? Like, everyone's like, she needs to get off. She's a liar. Someone said she's like Phaedra and Mia. I said, you are not going to compare this girl to Mia, no class Thornton. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
All right. Thank you, Eli, for calling in.
Thank you.
Have a good night. All right, we're going to bring up some more callers, guys. If you haven't already, be sure to like the video. It's easy and it's free. We're talking about the latest episode of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. I had a thought when Eli was speaking, and I'm looking back at the seating chart. And although I did like Angie this season, I'm wondering why Angie got the seat next to Andy Cohen. And yes, there were a lot of times they threw back to Angie, But to me, based off of the reunion, the final part of the reunion, I think Bronwyn should have actually been seated next to Andy Cohen. Anyone else? I like Angie, but I feel as if Angie didn't have a lot of stuff in comparison to what we see. We see a lot of back and forth. If anything, but she had nothing during the season. But if we're going to just go by the power, let's talk about the influence of this show. I would have seen, but again, they always sit people across from each other that are having conflict. And Heather and Lisa don't have a conflict. Meredith, based on Meredith's reaction during this reunion, you think she probably would have sat there, but all her issues were with the people across from her. So I just didn't see why Angie sat there. If anything, Bronwyn probably should have sat next to Andy during this reunion. If we're going to talk about who had the most issues, or if we want to talk about the power influence of the OG, then Mary Cosby. But now looking back at the final part of the reunion, I'm like, why was Angie there? What made them decide to put Angie there? For me, it would either been Bronwyn, but if we just want to go off the flex of being an OG and who really carried the season, and shout out to, I forgot the name of the Instagram account that lists the analytics of, how much screen time one person has gotten on Real Housewives, and Mary Cosby probably had the least screen time other than some of the friend ofs of the show. But for me, she had the biggest impact during the season. So I thought that was so interesting. But yeah, for me, based off the season, Mary Cosby should have been next to Andy Cohen and Lisa Barlow. And then maybe Angie next to Mary because of their closeness. Then Bronwyn. If not that, if we're just talking about who brought it the most this season, I would have put Bronwyn. And I know a lot of people want to say it, not Lisa, but everyone else made Lisa an issue. Everyone else made Lisa important during the season. So for me, Lisa's fine sitting there because everyone made her the issue. If anything, maybe Whitney should have been sitting next to Andy because she had a lot of stuff during the season. And I agree with Eli. She is a good housewife. There were literally moments in Mexico where she could have just squashed and burned issues, but she was always coming for Lisa's neck. And I think, honestly, based off the issues that throughout the season, we start off the season with the issues between Lisa and Whitney. We ended the season with the issues between Lisa and Whitney. If anything, Whitney should have been sitting next to Andy Cohen, not Angie K. I'm sorry, Angie. I know you loved having that moment, but I think you were fantastic. I think you should come back. But either Bronwyn, Whitney, or Mary should have been sitting in that chair. We started the season with an issue between Whitney and Lisa. We ended the season with an issue between Lisa and Whitney. I think they could have done that. Amanda says, honestly, Whitney was kind of quiet the majority of the reunion. So was Angie, though. I mean, yeah, Angie had a lot of moments, but a lot of those moments were sort of like, what is your issue? I don't get what your issue is. Just say, I think anyone else would have been better than Angie. I still think Angie should come back, but I think anyone else would have been better than Angie. I just had that thought when Eli was speaking. All right, we're going to bring up our final caller, Rasani. Rasani, what did you want to share?
Hey, Kempire, how's it going?
Going well. Good.
Good. First, I'm going to say this is not a reflection of Kempire or the community. I just want to trash YouTube for a little bit because I did not get the notification. I just happened to come on YouTube and saw that you were live. First of all, I don't understand why when you're black like this and not like this, and I go on one of their things for 1 second, I get all their feeds. But the content creators that I actually subscribe to and get and hit for notification that are my color, I don't get them until way later. That's the first thing. Sorry. So, Salt Lake City. And don't strike him or it's my opinion. It's what happens to me, YouTube. Salt Lake City, I give them a chef's kiss. The reunion, not, but their season was so phenomenal that I can't even hold the reunion against them. Yeah. I would agree, like, as far as like the people that gave more of a story this season would be Bronwyn and Mary, definitely. So if we're going to go by that stance, then those two should have been beside Andy. I liked how Mary gathered Meredith with the Jen Shaw stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I agree that, bringing on Jen Shaw, it takes away from them having to expose anything that's going on in their lives. But Jen Shaw, production, Bravo, NBC Universal, we don't want her and we don't need her. She does not need, I didn't even want Phaedra back. You shouldn't. The only person that I gave grace to in a situation like that is Teresa. Because clearly we could all see that Teresa did not know what the hell was going on. She still doesn't know. But either which way, you don't need to reward people for bad behaviors. Just like Bryn doesn't need to come back. It's bad behavior. I didn't get to call in, but as far as like the reunion, she came in with her chest up. She still didn't have any remorse. She cried because she wanted people to feel sympathy for her and do the white fragility. We don't need that. She can go. She's dangerous because I wouldn't even be friends with her in real life. And that's the truth.
Yeah.
But, can I say something about Bose and Garcelle real quick? Bose, I disagree with you that Kyle has been cold. If anyone, I would say that would probably, in Beverly Hills, the coldest person in Beverly Hills is Erica. Has always been Erica.
Mm-hmm.
Let's call a spade a spade. You're in there on your bias, and it's very clear that Dorit is talking about all the ladies with you. That's why you have that bias. Sutton didn't say anything about you being negative. She's having intimate moment with her mother, and she wants the people that she's closest to there. She's not close to you. Like you said, she's not close. In the after show last week or maybe the week before, when Garcelle said, how many years they've been, and Kyle has shared and I'm not a Kyle defender, but I have to call a spade a spade.
It's like hurtful. It's like hurtful that we have to defend Kyle.
She shared so much of her life and this and that, and now she doesn't want to share anything. And if that's the case, then you shouldn't be here. Then the same could be said about you, Garcelle. Because you, and I have to agree with Erica with this, you or Sutton, you don't share your life. You stir the pot and you say things that the viewers are thinking, and I'm appreciative of that, but don't try to, I kind of feel like they're trying to dethrone Kyle. Kind of a thing. That's the feel that I get from it, but I don't think that's going to happen. Kyle would have to do something like very, very, very deplorable, like, sue NBC. For them to get rid of her. But Andy loves her.
But wait till you see this week's episode. Well, I'm sure you probably saw this past week's episode, but we're going to dive even more into Sutton and Sutton's storyline this season. So for those that didn't think that Sutton was going to give a storyline this season, we're diving into some Sutton territory this week.
Yeah, the part of the reason, and I think, hands down for me, I am only speaking on my personal opinion, I think Mary is the MVP out of all the franchise because she's just being honest and authentic to who Mary is. And why I believe that a lot of viewers are gravitating to Mary is because we want that authenticity, that vulnerability, that real stuff. I know that she's guarded. And I don't remember I was listening to another caller. I think it might have been Miss Esquire, where I'm going to defend Mary for a little bit here. First of all, I believe all churches are cults. That's just my opinion. And followers can end up being cult-like with the churches. Some followers, not all. It's not fair to say that Mary has always been cold to the ladies, because I watched Housewives back from Salt Lake City, back from season 1 recently. Season 1, everybody was all hailing at the throne from season 1 up until she went to prison. Everybody was all up Jen Shaw's butt, and Jen Shaw started the hate Mary train. And then you had, what was her name? Jeannie? The other,
Jenny.
The one that got kicked out. She's not been given a fair shot with them. None of them have been warm to her from the beginning, so I don't expect her to be warm and fuzzy with any of them. And I do believe that Meredith is very, very jealous of the relationship that Mary has with Angie. But I think, I'll give you an example. Years ago,
because we have to go.
It's quick. Yeah, it's quick. Years ago, I found a dog at my workplace. I brought her home.
was going to give her away, but she ended up staying. I already had a cat. The dog was like, oh, like me to the cat. And the cat kept boxing her away. And now both of them are BFF. My cat will actually go to war for her. I think that's what Angie did with Mary. She's like me, Mary, and she swat her. Swoop, swoop, swat her. Swoop, swoop. And now they're BFF. But all I'm saying throughout all the franchises to be more authentic and more vulnerable. And this is just a quick message to Nene, FYI. If you do come back, leave your ego at the door and come back to the authentic Nene that we all knew and loved. And we should be good.
Okay. Thank you for signing.
Thanks, Camp. Have a good one. Have a great show, by the way, if I don't speak to you before. You'll be good. You'll be great.
Thank you. Have a good night. All right. Brian says, I don't agree that Garcelle doesn't share her life. She just doesn't have drama like the other ladies have. It's not a requirement for your life to be falling apart. I'm so glad you said that, because I said this the other day when people say, you don't have a storyline. I was like, we were talking about this with Married to Medicine. Not everyone has drama in their relationships. That is okay. My biggest thing is not about a reality TV star having, a storyline. It's about having a personality. And Sutton has a personality, like her or not. Garcelle has a personality. They have a personality together that's entertaining to watch. We're seeing, I did not expect this as a storyline. I'm excited to watch this play out. That is the bar for me, is to have a personality, not necessarily a storyline. And again, not everyone's life is falling apart. Some people's lives are just work. I'm away and I'm working. Can you imagine if a reality show was following me? It would be boring because I'm working. Okay. So not everyone's life, but I would be probably a good personality to shake up the girls. Anyways, I appreciate everyone calling in. Shout out to all of you. Thank you to everyone that sent in the super chat, a Venmo, a Cash App. And shout out to Rastani pointing out that it seems as if YouTube is not getting you guys your notifications. But if you follow me on Twitter or Blue Sky, I do post there when we're going live. So that is one way. And I also understand that I'm not always going live at the exact time like I normally do if I'm back at home. Follow us on other platforms so you can get the notifications and things like that. But that seems to be a consistent problem with not just YouTube, but on TikTok as well. So apologies on behalf of YouTube, I guess. Look, I don't know. It is what it is. Anyways, guys, if you haven't liked the video already, be sure to like the video. I see Melissa called back in, so I was going to bring up Melissa as our last caller. Oh, and Melissa dropped out. Sorry, Melissa. Gotta go then. All right. Kindness One says, yeah, YouTube is not sending any notification. I just scrolled and saw. Sometimes you got to turn your notifications off and turn them back on. Not sure. Thank you to our King's Guards. Thank you to our channel members. And of course, thank you to our subscribers. And thank you to those of you watching in the bushes. Thank you to those that have already liked the video. We appreciate you so much. And of course, thank you to those of you that support us in other ways by coming to see us live in person or buying a live stream ticket for our New York City show. All that information is available in the description. Also, don't forget our partnership with Rose Forever. We did send an email out to them to let them know, to make sure that the Kempire 20 discount is working, because I know a lot of you have, oh, Melissa, sorry, Kempire, I'm too nervous. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right. Next time, Melissa. We will be live again. Don't forget, tomorrow night with our special guest, life coach Keisha, talking about heartbreak, love, relationships, and more. Okay. So make sure you turn on your notifications. Set a reminder in your phone right now. That will be at 8 p.m. Eastern. 5 p.m. PST. Okay. So stay tuned for that, whatever time it might be abroad. All right. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for being here. Everyone have a great day. No, not Melissa Gorga. We were talking Melissa, who's watching in the live chat. She wanted to call and share her thoughts. It's okay. All right. Everyone have a fantastic night. I will see you all later. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to the Kempire here on the Kempire Radio Network. As always, don't forget to give the Kempire podcast a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. We're trying to get to 1,000 reviews on both platforms. And as always, don't forget to subscribe, download, and share the Kempire podcast.